Ember Lee stood elevated up the hill from the Trifecta high throng, where they congregated at the end of the world. The serpentine road curved through the forest, a sunken river of asphalt that led from the griddled streets of town. For the last mile, broad redwood pines and dense brush grew next to the raised shoulders, blocking out the sights and sounds of all they knew. The road drifted in lazy, descending arcs and directed a wandering eye to city lights in the valley below, a place far, far away, and just as impossible to reach as a fairy tale castle. Animals passed this point without struggle, and vegetation grew as if it all were well. A person stopped as if hitting a glass door that declined to break. A car would crash, hood crumpled with no damage to be seen in the barrier's emptiness. Attempts to use small stones to line the dome failed when the wind or other force pushed them until they rolled on through and escaped, not bound by the same rules. No one wanted to set a concrete marker. A long-term solution unsettled Trifectans, who didn't want this trap to prove permanent. Though the barrier encircled the entire town, the end of the world was special. This spot was the most accessible within human territory, and the last place where a road met the barrier. All other intersections destroyed over the past 2 decades by the encroaching forest or by purposeful demolition. A now leaving sign on the shoulder was a mocking reminder that people had once traveled unhindered. Had it been reachable, crowds like the one gathered now would have mutilated the rectangular declaration. Instead, it stood a few feet beyond an energy so strong no person had ever forced their way through, and the white metal remained steadfast, aged only by fading letters and small bites of rust. The sign mocked those who approached, fed negative sparks into the charged atmosphere. The end of the world pulsed with raw intensity that burned from the deepest places of being told, you can't. You can't have the same freedoms as your parents. No cell phones, no TV channels beyond the town's one, no chance to surf that complicated thing called the internet. All your information will come from old books, because you can't get new ones, not for your homes and not for your school. You can't drive the road as it recedes into the east, an arrow to the forbidden freedom of the city lights seen on the lowered horizon. A solid, invisible wall stops you. The same magic that pushed the witches and fae into the human realm and trapped the races together, forced to coexist, compelled to accept the end of travel. You can't visit the north and east, because that is where the mages live, forced from their realms into this one with the barrier's birth. An agreement between the classes split the land. The laws of convergence allow for movement between the territories, sure, but going beyond town takes you from the comfort of humanity and into the suspicious cultures of magic. Fae and witches hadn't existed in the human realm of Terra before the Fade. Fae had lived in gypsum, and the witches had Heldu, realms that shared the earth, though on different sides of the same page. 2 decades ago, the veil between them malfunctioned over the town of Trifecta. Fae and witches living in the same space within their realms were forced from home and into the human realm. The veil hardened, creating an impenetrable bubble around Trifecta, where all 3 races found themselves trapped and forgotten. 20 years was long enough to become complacent and accept life had changed, and to acknowledge the outside world seemed to have forgotten their small mountain city. 1,000,000 years would never be enough to stop the yearning, to stop the desperate hope that one day the invisible, impenetrable barrier would fall.